Okay, so tell me you watched the Miesha Lifetime original movie. Wow. Wow. We have some stuff to talk about. Gonna keep it brief because I already did a video on her last week. But wow. Let's talk. Okay, so this movie, wow. It really included anything you could possibly have wanted to know. I mean, Michelle, again, very influential artist in the late 80s, early 90s in the hip hop world. She came up with NWA, Dr. Dre, and Suge Knight, and Tupac, and Eazy-E, and all those guys were parts of her, not all in NWA, of course, but all parts of her story. And wow, did this story tell? It's interesting because, I mean, as are with all biopics and stories, there's obviously some exaggeration lead way, okay? A lot of people are saying there's no way that Suge Knight talked to Tupac like that, about recording for him and changing hooks on his music and shit. I don't know. I don't fucking pretend to know anymore. I don't fucking know. Because none of these people are who they say they are to us. I'm so I mean, this movie was so good. It was so good, and I can't believe I'm raving about a Lifetime movie. But you know what? That is a testament to the time, because my boyfriend and I were debating going to a movie in theaters. We have free passes, and there wasn't even a movie you could sell me out right now for free that I'd want to waste 2 hours of my life going to. I don't know if that's me, because I am a movie buff. I love movies. I love movie theaters. I love the experience. It's great, but you can't get me to a theater anymore. There's like nothing. There's no new story. There's nothing. And granted, Lifetime has made this movie a bajillion times in the past, because it's your basic battered wife raising the children, just throwing some little hip hop and people of color, and boom, it's a brand new story for Lifetime. But it's interesting because I mean, Michelle, she didn't. Okay, my thing is, even if you think she exaggerated points to sell the story, the whole story was her getting her ass beat. So like, it's not this like triumphant, celebratory showboating of her life. No, she's not even, like, the end doesn't even end with her like rise to fame or any. No, she sprinkles that in. She's like, oh, by the way, right here is when I'm famous. Let's get back to the beatings. Like, it's insane. The movie is literally. And I was listening to The Breakfast Club and Charlemagne, and he was dogging on it a little bit, saying, you know, props to her for talking about the beatings, and people have wondered about this in the past, and the fact that Eminem sang about Dre beating on women. It might have been D. Barnes, I don't remember, but, you know, all of these are points of contention, and Charlemagne brought up a point that this story wasn't like a heroic, like at the end there was no, oh cool, she made it moment. This story is literally about beatings. But I was thinking about that a little deeper, and I'm glad I listened to the Charlemagne Breakfast Club interview before I watched Surviving Compton, because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, well, this is her victory story. This is her moment. The movie ends, and I don't want to give anything away, but it just ends with a moment of her owning herself and being like, you know what, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. And for any person to be able to say that at their breaking point, you know, because she was so low. She was so low. Oh God, there was a point in the movie. There were a couple where I was like, I got real sad, because I think we can all relate to a relationship in our life. Maybe it's not somebody you date, but maybe it's a mother or a father or a brother, a sister, cousin, you know, someone in your life where you've had a relationship this volatile, and maybe you empathize with the victim, or maybe you empathize with the person doing the wrong because you've been in that scenario or whatever. But wow, this was a powerful story, and it made me sad. It got me thinking about some relationships I've been in, some relationships I have with people I love still. Just really, really fucked up, and it really showed what evil money can do to just these kids. They were coming up, and they had these awesome talents, and you know, the other thing I wanted to mention, a lot of this is bringing about backlash for Dr. Dre right now, as we all know. When stories get brought up in the media, or when movies come out, or music comes out, and it's about something, it focuses us heavily on that issue. So right now, I think Twitter's ablaze with people scrutinizing Dre, and maybe it's warranted because of his actions in the past, but we have to remember those are the actions of his past, and he could have grown as a person. Now, he hasn't really shown us publicly that he has, being as though he's never officially apologized to D. Barnes or to Miesha Lee publicly. And I think that's important, because I think that's part of the grieving process of knowing that the person you were hurt somebody else and how it impacted them. And these women have every right to talk. And if he's like showing his reaction being, I'm gonna fucking sue you in 2016 for talking, she has every right to tell this story. If he really truly felt bad about what he did, don't you think he'd be like, she has every right, and this is going to make me look bad. I'm so sorry for how I acted. That's what he should have done. He should have jumped in front of this. But this is what I'm talking about. Celebrities don't tell you who they are. There's something weird. There's something weird with him and Beats by Dre, and how it sold for, the billion, and he got 500 million, or whatever that whole fiasco was. When you get that high up in the money game, I don't care who you are and how powerful you are. The person at the top is an old white Jewish man. Okay, so you're going to be listening to that fucker. Okay, and sorry if that hurts to hear, and sorry if people of color don't want to hear that everybody's owned by a white man, but it's fucking true. And the more you look up, it's just this elite family that runs everything, and the art industry as a whole, as a collective, media to movies to music to actual art to the clothing you wear. It's all run by a family who owns a couple corporations, who then own franchises, who then own businesses. It's like, come on, people, we gotta put this together. Like, yeah, you can be mad at Dre because he put his hands on a woman, but anyone in particular, if this story was showing two grown-ass men beat each other like that, that was just fucking horrific. That scene where she was laying in bed and he comes home and she's like, I missed you, I was lonely, and boom, boom, boom. I was like, fuck. Women live through this. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be a Miesha Lee. She's not even A-list famous. Like, this is happening. It fucking happened to Tina Turner, and it's happening to Linda down the street. And it's just fucked. It's so fucked, and I'm not saying it only happens to women. There are some abusive women who beat their men, and that ain't funny to me. It ain't funny to me when people make jokes about how, oh, you couldn't defend yourself against your wife or your little wife, or because women are lethal, and I am gay, born and raised. But no, seriously, I'm gay, and I think as a gay man, I am made privy to a lot of the personality of the female species that straight men don't see, and y'all can be nuts. Okay, so domestic violence as a whole is real. Doesn't matter gender. It's scary, and it's an abusive, emotional, mental, and physical attack. And we have to understand, relationships in and of themselves are complex. And a reason, I believe, that a lot of young people, especially nowadays, break up so easily is because we're not taught, told, or expected to stick out the dirty. And I think another thing is, especially in youth, but I think it's been perpetual, is that we aren't taught how to handle our own aggression and how to handle our own frustration internally without taking it out on others. Because look at how everybody acts. Look at how presidential candidates are acting right now. The fact that Trump can spew these hateful things, or the fact that Hillary can blatantly lie to our face, those are people setting the president. Setting the message, if you will. President. But no, it's weird to me. It's weird that we have different expectations for different classes of people. That's weird to me. It's weird that there was a story recently, it's not recent at all, but there was a story I saw about how these Wall Street banksters got busted in a loft with cocaine, and there it was like this highfalutin coke den. But when you hear about it and it's your local crack den around the corner, and because it's a person of color, it's all of a sudden a crack house. It's like, wow, Really? I mean, this is all related in my head. I'm sorry if this sounds so jumbled, but honestly, Miesha, much love and power and respect to you. My God, you deserve this moment. You deserve, not even for financial gain, you deserve this moment for your soul. Just to like release this truth that you've been carrying around and the emotional scars. I can't even fucking imagine. I've been in abusive relationships, mental, emotional, and physical, but I also kind of have a personality where I don't necessarily victimize myself for, like, let's say I have an ex-boyfriend who put his hands on me. I don't victimize myself in my head and say, oh my God, how's he doing this to me, because I know what caused it. So I take ownership, and I've also been physical back to that same person, and so I 50-50. I caused as much as I received, and so I take that blame, but I do not put that onto others. In somebody like Miesha case, it doesn't look like she was ever the aggressor. So there are different varying degrees of domestic abuse, and we just need to understand that this is a conversation that needs to happen more often. When it happens, because of movies like this, it's going to get people talking. There's so many videos on YouTube already. This is all talking about violence, domestic violence, workplace violence. I mean, every bit of it, every aspect of it. But also, I think it brings up a good point. How much blame can we put onto the aggressor? How much time are we taking to look at the whole scenario? Because a lot of people take victimized roles and mesh them to be this rose-colored glasses kind of outlook. And I feel like a lot of people, especially in the politically correct culture we're in right now, which is very terrifying, where everybody has to apologize for everything, I think it's really important that even as a victim or as a perpetrator of violence in any way, whether it's verbal or physical, we need to reflect inside. I think no matter where you are, you need to reflect inside and be like, what just happened? Why did that happen? And what do I want to do about this to make sure it doesn't happen again? And if you're not in a place where you can ask yourself those and have answers that hopefully you can find, then you're in a scary place, because you're either lying like Miesha did for the abuser and staying with him and perpetuating it, or you're being the abuser and deciding that it's okay to do this. Your actions are just. And those are very scary topics, and it's very scary self-reflection, but I think it's important, and it's what movies like this bring up, and I applaud Miesha for her bravery, how they ended that movie. Woof! That was a fucking ending. I love that she stood up to Suge. Sorry if I'm ruining the ending. I mean, come on, we all pretty much know how this story goes. You don't even have to know hip-hop that well to know how this story goes. But, she stood up to him, and she was like, you can't hurt me no more. It's your turn to be afraid. I fucking loved it. I loved it. That was her vindication. That was her $1 million payday to me. I mean, I hope she felt the same. Hopefully this movie gives her a little bit of that courage back during those times it was lost. And hopefully she helps a lot of people, which I think this story will. I mean, it was incredible. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's called Surviving Compton. You can find it on YouTube. I'm sure it'll be on Hulu, Netflix soon. It's a Lifetime movie. I don't know if that helps you to search. But it was amazing. So the story is cool. A lot of these biopics fall short. This one did not. Anyway, take care of yourself today. Look into the story if you want. Comment below. I love to hear that. And peace out.